Hey, what's going on, y'all? Caesar Stone Man back at it again. Sorry I've been gone for a while. I've kind of been on a hiatus, just going through some things, kind of a little bit of burnout, kind of had a lot going on spiritually, a lot of spiritual warfare that I've been going through. But I have reached a place where I am dealing with that spiritual warfare in a little bit more of a manageable way now. So I feel as though I'm ready to get back to making videos and talking to y'all. And this one right now, this one today is about tapping into the energy of everything. You know, I mean, this is, as you call this, tapping into the energy of God, aligning yourself with the source, whatever you want to call it. This is really spiritually awakening to the truth that we are the one. And how do we know this? Well, I think it's Newton's first law of thermodynamics, something of that sort, that states that energy is neither destroyed nor can it be created. It simply is and transformed through time, which is also part of that ultimate one energy. And again, it's an energy that cannot be created or destroyed. It simply transforms. It evolves itself through time. And time is kind of a concept we use to measure the oneness. We use to interpret the variance of degrees the oneness moves through. And to calculate it, it's a measurement. And so, because we're measuring, we are taking a record of the one. It's history. Time is history. And so, essentially, we have to remember that we are this one energy that cannot be created or destroyed, meaning that we are infinite. Whenever this flesh stuff, whenever I'm done with it and I leave this body, it will die and deteriorate. It will break down and the energy will transform into something else. And my energy will leave this form and transform into something else. It's just, we are all the infinite one energy transforming forever, for infinity. And that means that we are the source. We are the one. We are the one that exists. And the way that we tap out of that reality, this is why people like to be evil, because and that's all that we can be ultimately. Then people like to try and be something else because it's like, I don't want to just be what I'm forced to be. And I mean, it's like if you're forced to clean your room, you don't want to be a good kid and clean your room anymore. You want to rebel a little bit. And this is where Satan comes in, the ultimate rebel, the first rebel, the one who wanted to rebel against being the ultimate good and to try and be something else. Satan is an entity that represents the antithesis of the one, the negative one, the one that takes from the one and tries to make it less than. You know, and this is how we unalign from being one. And the way I look at it is like this. If you have a variance of ones, you can call that those ones, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but it's all just groupings of one, right? And even this is a grouping of the oneness. It's a grouping of cells, a grouping of individual ones to make a whole. That is one. And so in that regard, you have this ultimate oneness, and from 1 to 0, 1 can be taken down into 0, right? So a negative 1 can exist within the 1, and that's how sin can exist within us. If there is something, there can be its equal and opposite. But the problem is that 1 and negative 1 collapse together to make 0. And 0 too is infinite because 0 is the quantity of the unquantifiable. It is an unquantifiable quantity. It's what makes it nothing. Yet it is something, because if nothing exists, then nothing exists. It still exists. It's a whole, it's a totality. 0 is a totality that can be called infinite, that can be called 1. That's where we get our binary code from, zeros and ones, these two things that are the exact same thing. And that's why the Buddhists, they talk about you enter a state of nothingness and find peace, because when you become nothing, when you become ultimately detached, you become the objective truth, which is all things good, because it is something. So that's all essentially to say that we always have to be something, but there's always going to be some kind of negative that tries to take from something. These three are the infinites that exist forever. That's why we see in our atom, our atomic structure, a neutron and a proton, the positive and the neutral combined together, and then we see the negatives going on outside. But a lot of people, they use this kind of neutrality to enter into a negative state, which is like antimatter, antichrist kind of energy. You know, I mean, they use the nothingness to enter into well, I want to take from you from this feeling of nothingness. And this is antithetical to our universe, to our realm of matter, the realm that we know. yet it's still a part of the one true energy, And but it's except just like in the way that our universe was first formed, it was a battle between matter and antimatter, and matter came out on top because zero is something that exists and always and ultimately will attach to one. It's why demons like to try and possess people because we are one. We represent and quantify that one energy, and they want to try and war with us, try and take us over, try and conquer us, and kind of put this proof forward that the negative can conquer the one. And so long as we are willing to align with being lesser than one, that those demonic forces, those satanic forces can conquer us. But the thing is, we can align with the one, right? We don't have to align with the negative part of it because the one is wholly pure. The one is holy in purity. And so we can align with purity and be purely pure. And this is where figures like Christ come in. You could argue the Buddha, you can argue many different figures have shown up on this earth. Even Yahweh, you could argue, represents something of this purity that you can align with to become pure as the source, as the pure one is. That's why people had to align with the Messiah, had to follow after his ways, follow in his footsteps, to be led to where his destination was, being him as the destination. And if one is the destination and the journey is going through the variance of degrees to one, we and through the variance of past the negativity, past the negative resistance that's trying to stop us, through the second heaven, if you will, the realm of negativity between us and the one, it's a journey that is always connected if we tap into the truth, if we awaken to the truth that we are one within. So we are already at that destination. Which brings me to the point of this video. Sorry, I've kind of been rambling for a bit, just setting up the foundation, but I think it's important that because it's all one energy, this is one great movie that already has ended. So you do not need to worry. And that's really kind of my point here. That there is no need to worry because it's already finished. It's already set in stone. It's already done. It is totality. It is one. And God always wins. Something if God and Satan go to war, God always wins because if zero occurs, zero is something. And zero always attaches to something. Zero always because something because it is. It is the proof that we are. And nothing always exists, essentially. So, and that's why everything also feels like an illusion because zero exists. It doesn't make sense, but it's the paradox that builds our reality. And essentially, it leads to an ultimate truth that everything has already occurred. The whole moment is one. The one thing that stops it and separates it is our perception, our limited perception of it. And that's why God, the ultimate being, has the all-seeing eye that can see the totality of the whole moment. But we ourselves are beings that are limited within this moment. And we get worried because we're like, what's going to happen? We are kind of anxious about the future, anxious about how things are going to turn out. Well, mathematically, we know that good will always triumph. That's why the hero always wins in the story. Good always triumphs. And this is always a good feeling for us to know that everything will always turn out good. It does say in the word that God works everything for the good of those who are called according to his purpose and love him. And it's like, listen, if we are all called according to his purpose, because we are all called to be the one, that's our purpose. And we all have something within us that loves God because we love being alive. We love our life. Even when we want to die, it's like out of a love for the fact that we are in an unhappy existence and want to end that. We all have love and can't escape from that. And so we are all called according to his purpose. We are all loving of God. And therefore, all things for us will work out together in the end for the good. Even if you're an evil person who can't stop at being evil and you end up in hell, it's like, is that not good? Is that not a good thing? It worked out for your good because now you're not hurting people anymore. And maybe you can learn a thing or two by suffering through the punishment. It's one of those kind of things where it's like all things will always work out together for the good. So there's no need to worry. And it's also like, well, what's going to happen in the future? What's going to happen? A worry and anxiety that things might go wrong. Well, it's like, if it goes wrong, it always goes wrong. And you can't change that. It's already won. And so you ought to just take a break, take it easy, and just accept everything. And this is where that inner peace comes from. An acceptance of reality, an acceptance for the thing, from an acceptance of the fact that things will go as they will go, and that's okay. So essentially, y'all, I don't want y'all to worry, and I want y'all to be in the truth. And the way that you don't worry is that you exist in the truth, that everything is one, and everything's always going to be okay, because something, the one, always wins. All right, y'all. I've been kind of going through this experience in the spirit realm where, kind of like the Buddha was, kind of like Christ was when he separated and did his 40 days in the wilderness. And I've been kind of being taken through by different entities and mostly ones that align with good, of course, through different truths. I've been feeling something kind of bringing me into different truths, different kind of universal and elemental truths that make up the essence of everything. And I want to kind of try and share some of that inside my channel because I think it's important and can do a lot of good for people. The truth is something that sets people free, and I want to be an agent of freedom and an agent of other people's freedom rather than an agent of someone who takes from one. God is the positive one. We should also be positive ones. Satan is the negative one. We should try not to be negative ones. We should try to be positive, because we shouldn't try and take from what cannot be taken from. You can't take from the infinite. The infinite always is, and it always will be. And it can't be taken from because it is the eternal quantity. And you can't take from something that is entirely eternal, which is why we never lose our life. We always gain it in another form and a greater form. That's why the Buddhists believe in reincarnation. In any case, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and expect more like this in the future. I'll also be throwing out some semen retention ones as well. My men need to understand our masculinity is paramount, and it's something that's slipping nowadays. So I pray that y'all stay aligned with your masculinity, aligned with your truth, aligned with your higher self, aligned with the spirit of being the best version of you. All right, y'all. Take care. Peace.